Well, welcome to Denmark. I'm in one of the nicest little small boat harbours that I've ever been in. This is in the town of Middelfart, right down in the middle of Denmark at the mouth of the Little Belt. You can see the big bridge over here that connects the west coast of Denmark to the mainland. You can see two of my shipmates here sucking into a nice can of beer after doing a fine job starting this wonderful engine that you can hear running behind me. And that's what I want to talk about, really. This is a Hunderstat semi-diesel. This is the sound of the north that you're hearing here, the most thrilling sound, really, that any engineer can ever hear. This engine will run like this forever. It's producing the sort of horsepower that today people would laugh at because the numbers are so small. But these are real horses. These are big propellers, and these horses really pull. They'll pull the back end off an elephant, unlike the silly little horsepower that whirl around on the back of an outboard and say they've got 150. So forget all that. This is proper power. Now then, I first sailed with one of these engines in 1969. It was still in the boat it had originally been in, as is this one. This is Robin's boat that we're on here. This is his engine, and it's the engine that was in the boat right from the start. My engine went in the boat in 1930, and it was running perfectly when I joined the ship. It saw us through all sorts of terrible weather, and it never ever faltered. It wasn't in great shape. It had a crack across one of its cylinder heads, but we fixed that up somehow. I'm not sure we didn't weld it ourselves, and it just carried on running. There seems nothing will stop them. They've got soul, these engines. They're like people. You get to know them and you get to love them, and you get to appreciate what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And sometimes you hate them, but that's the way it is, isn't it, with people, and proper engines too. One of these engines was owned by a pal of mine, and it had two cylinders. He was in an old Norwegian vessel, and he was in the West Indies, and his son was in a yacht which piled up on a reef on the bottom end of the island of St Vincent. He had to pull the boat off the reef, so he backed in with his big Norwegian fishing boat. He drifted a line down to the ship, down to the yacht, hooked it all up, set himself up to windward and started to pull it off, and he opened his throttle wider than he'd ever opened it before in the whole of his ownership of the boat. And as the engine revved up and started to get going, the boat started to come off the reef. Everything was going fine, and suddenly one of the cylinder heads blew. It blew clean off, and it came up through the coach roof, and a great cloud of smoke came up with it, but the engine kept running because it kept running with the other cylinder, which did not stop. And they pulled the boat off the reef, and they came out. They were so black they looked like a couple of natives, but the boat didn't stop. They sorted it out. They mended the engine themselves with the engineering gear they had on board. They put it back together and went on around the world. That's the sort of things these engines are. They're absolutely wonderful. You never hear them anymore. They're a great rarity. So hats off to Robin and his merry men for keeping this wonderful boat going. It is a grand thing. And I'm going to shut up now because I've got a little bit of movie here that I want to show you, which is Robin actually starting this wonderful machine. So listen, that's about it from me, but don't go away because you're going to see the engine start now. And well, we'll talk again later, mates. Cheers now. Right, at the moment Robin's putting the flywheel round to the magic place which it has to be in to start the engine. The whole thing is set up, the engine is decompressed, and he's moving the flywheel round with a lever to get the mark on the flywheel exactly where it has to be. Where he's satisfied with that, he'll move on to the next stage.
So the next stage is there is a spiral in here.
Yep.
And that is for the ignition of the engine, and I have to warm that up. So I put current on it.
So Robin's moved a switch now, which is heating up the electrical element in the top of the cylinder head. The cylinder head has to reach a certain temperature before the whole thing will fire. In a sense, a bit like a modern diesel's glow plug, but it's far more critical on here. If the thing is not hot, it will not start. Some of the older engines, like the one I sailed with, they actually had a blow lamp attached, an old-fashioned blow lamp, which heated up the top of the engine. You had to first light the blow lamp and play it on the top of the engine until the right temperature was reached. When you're there and you're satisfied, then you can turn the valve which allows the compressed air in.
You can see now that this spiral is red, so
yep.
It is also red on the inside, so it's very easy to start.
So we're now hot, and he's going to turn the compressed air on. And in a minute he'll open the valve, and then we should have ignition. A magic moment. Yes! Yeah, she's away. She's away. And the whole boat's shaking. It's just the best thing you've ever heard, that sound. It's the sound of the north. Nice one, Robin. Thanks, mate. We'll go out now, and we'll see if we can see the chimney outside and listen to this great, great sound. Check that out. That's a sound you won't hear every day, and it's a sound that'll never let you down.